Hello. Welcome to day 2.
Woohoo!
How's everyone doing? I love looking at these comments, seeing everyone roll on in here. Awesome. Okay. So we are streaming in Facebook and we are streaming in YouTube. We're streaming all over the place.
We are. So hello to everyone that's joining us.
Yes.
In
Hello.
multiple different locations. And I love that maybe your opening thing said that and I didn't read it, but I love that they're already putting their numbers.
Well, I have it right there.
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm
not reading apparently.
And I had it in the countdown timer. I pulled it up too.
I didn't pay attention then.
So fans, so what she's talking about is if you are new here, I would love it if you would drop a number 1. Hello to you, number 1s. And those of you who are dropping a number 2, that means they consider themselves Hoop Sisters, Hoop Misters. They've seen this before and kind of know how it works. So congratulations to the number 2s. We appreciate you hanging out. I love the 1.5s as well. Thank you for putting that in there. I think, Barbara, you're probably at number 2.
That's what I was
thinking. But okay, 1.5, whatever floats your boat. So welcome in, whether you are dropping a number 1 or a number 2, whether you're new or whether you consider yourself part of the crew and know what's going on. We are glad you're here. Now, if you missed yesterday, which was day 1, and you're here catching day 2, give me a number 5. Drop a number 5 if you're like, whoa, is this the first day? Did I miss a day? What's going on? Give me a number 5. We're going to have a little bit of a recap today, but we have a lot. We got a good show lined up today.
We have a lot to cover.
And we decided we had a lot of great questions yesterday. So we're actually, what are we adding on the end? You want to tell them?
So yeah, at the very end, after we go through everything assembly related that we're going to talk about today, we are going to stick around for a little bit and do a live question and answer. So if you have questions at the end, perfect time to ask them because we're going to stick around a little longer this time. So that we can hopefully get all of your questions answered.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Oh, goodness. I hope you're staying safe, Michelle, in California. Okay, so awesome. We've got a group of number 1s, number 2s, number 5s. So whatever way you're coming in here, we're super glad that you have found us. We'd love it if you would give us a share. Let your quilting buddies know what we got going on over here, too. Oh, Janine, I hope you feel better. So if you missed this yesterday, it might be worth mentioning. My name is Aubrey Ellerbrock, and this is my sister, Sarah.
Hello.
And Sarah is a digitizer and designer here at Hoop Sisters. And we released a really cute project yesterday.
We did.
Yeah.
Super cute.
So, okay, let's get things started. Are you guys ready to get started here? Also, if you already jumped in, you've placed your order, and your shipping confirmation is coming soon. If you've already ordered, put a me in the comments. If you know you're going to do this project, drop a me in the comments. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to do here today. We already mentioned we have a lot going on. We're going to do a bit of a recap. So if you missed yesterday, no problem. And then what are you going to do today?
So then I'm going to walk through trimming your block, pinning your blocks together so that you can ultimately join them, and then how to add the backing. So it's essentially, it's a little more assembly focused, right? So yesterday we covered everything in the hoop at your machine. And today we're going with what do you do when you're done at the machine and all your blocks are stitched. And then, like I just mentioned, we're going to do that live question and answer section at the very end of today. And then we're going to announce a challenge winner and do our live viewer giveaway.
Yeah, so we've got a lot going on, like I said. So live viewer giveaway, that just means if you type the keyword that I'll pop up on the screen a few times throughout our time together today, that it was hugs yesterday, today it's kisses. You following me? So type the word kisses, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook on the live, drop that word. It will enter you into the live viewer giveaway. We have already behind the scenes drawn the challenge winner, and we will announce that person later today as well. Let's also talk about Nina. Okay, so if you guys have any questions about your cart or something not looking right or just something personal that you're trying to figure out, on the website or something like that, the best thing to do is just get a hold of us. Nina is here to help you. She is the dedicated customer experience manager, and she has been tasked with making sure everyone has everything they need. It's a big job.
It is.
And she's commenting on YouTube right now, commenting on Facebook right now. So she's got a lot going on. Everyone give me a hi, Nina, in the comments. And if a question comes up that is something specific to your cart and your needs, get a hold of her after the live today, and she will gladly take care of you. Okie doke. We're moving right along. This is something
mine.
We did not talk about yesterday,
right.
but I thought it was worth mentioning.
Yes. So just some of the differences between traditional quilting and Hoop Sisters Quilt in the Hoop. Obviously, major differences. First of all, with traditional quilting, you have to cut your fabric precise. You have to trim to, well, not trim to, I'm used to the Hoop Sisters method, obviously. You have to have a perfect 1/4 inch seam. You just have to have a lot more precision in your quilting. Now, if you do the Hoop Sisters method, it's okay if your fabric isn't perfectly cut. I know, right? I love that too, because your stitches are digitized. So they're gonna go exactly where they need to go every single time, right? Next, you have to have perfectly squared up blocks, right? And then with Hoop Sisters, you don't have to trim your blocks perfectly. Like we're going to cover today with Trimmer by George. It doesn't have to be perfect because when you join on that basting stitch, and again, we're going to go more in depth with this with a demonstration in a moment, but you join on the basting stitch. So there's no need for perfect trimming. And then also you have to hand sew your pieced and layered quilt, or pay a long armor to do it for you. With Hoop Sisters, the quilting is always included, which is huge because it's specific for each project. So once you're done in the hoop, everything's quilted. You just have to join your blocks together and do the final assembly parts.
I'm popping up artist's comment because I think that's so kind, and thank you for the feedback.
Yes.
That's awesome. So much easier and stress-free. Woo! All right.
I covered it all.
Okay. Okay, so we covered it all. So as you can see, overall, you just need less perfection, and it's all quilted when you're done. Like, come on, so many good things about this technique. So we're super excited. And just a super quick recap for those of you who put a number 5 in the comments, maybe you weren't here yesterday when we revealed the new design. Here it is. This is what we have been working on in workshop. And so this is called Hugs and Kisses. You do need a minimum of a 7-inch sewing field, but it's got the wall hanging and
and that tiny topper, which
adorable.
Is just so cute. A good placemat size if you want to use it for that. It's a great option. Or just a tiny topper, obviously. But just a fun, quick to stitch project, I would say. Lots of stitch and flip in this one, some applique in the border, and a little bit on that heart right in the center of the 3-block wall hanging. And I mean, I might be biased, but I love the daisy quilting.
I do too.
It's so cute.
I also really love the fabric. And we have very limited kits left, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So I'm going to star that for later. Okay. All right. So there it is. That's what we're doing. So, okay, limited supply of fabric kits, which I just mentioned. We are fully anticipating these are going to be gone by end of day. Just based on stock levels. So I would highly encourage you, if you're thinking about the fabric kit, you might want to get very serious very soon. In fact, I'm going to have Nina drop the order link so you guys can go take a look. Here's the other thing I want to talk about with the fabric kits and carts. If you put a fabric kit in your cart and then you walk away and you're get distracted or you're thinking about it, just know that putting it in the cart doesn't guarantee it's yours. Okay. Make sure you're finishing with the checkout, or somebody else could grab it. It's all just based on inventory numbers, and the inventory count drops when the order is placed. So I just want to warn everyone that if you're serious about the fabric kit, don't let it hang out in your cart for too long because it could get snagged. Okay. So just know that. Right, Sarah?
That's right.
Okie dokie. All right. Now we've kind of run through all the important things. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah so she can start this tutorial.
Can we show this off first for those who weren't here?
Do you want it up here or down there? Or?
Let's put it here.
Okay.
So same place. But I just wanted to show you, for those who aren't here yesterday, I know you can't see all of it. You did just see that image of it. Here is Hugs and Kisses, because you haven't got a chance to see it live yet. Hopefully, I think my lights are kind of washing some of that out.
You can kind of see that though. Or is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. And just that really cute.
It's so cute.
Daisy quilting. So
well, and if you want yours to stand out more,
I'll show you my
thread.
And I'll show you my other block. It's got a contrasting thread on it. But it's really simple because it's just done with stitch and flip. So you can kind of see I've used contrasting threads in these blocks. But if you weren't here yesterday and you're like, what is stitch and flip? I encourage you to go back and watch yesterday's video. And I even did something a little extra.
Yeah.
Today I stitched out this O block and I recorded it as I stitch it out. And that recording is on YouTube.
Yes.
So you'll find out exactly how to stitch this block. If you're curious, you can find that on our YouTube channel.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to get started. You yell at me if you want me to stop for any reason.
Okay.
I'm going to set these two aside. So I have these two blocks joined together, stitched out. Again, I used a contrasting thread for my quilting. I got them joined together. I'm going to set those off to the side though, because the first thing that we need to talk about is how to trim your blocks. So this is the block that we stitched live yesterday. This is our X block. And one of the things I saw, one of the takeaways yesterday, and I really liked this, she said that you don't have to use matching thread just because instructions say that. You absolutely do not have to. I even broke that rule. I wrote instructions and I didn't even follow them yesterday, right? Because for this daisy quilting, it says use a matching thread, one that matches your fabric. And I wanted it to stand out a little bit more. So I used something that kind of coordinates, but definitely shows up much better, especially on camera. So let's jump into trimming our block. We did everything in the hoop. We're done. We pulled it out of the hoop. Now we have our battleizer that we have to think about. How do I trim this? Because if I don't trim this right up to that basting stitch, I'm going to have a lot of bulk in my seam allowance, right? And we don't want that. So how we fix that is we use our Trimmer by George. So this is our Trimmer by George. It's an acrylic ruler and it has this crimped metal edge. Can you see that right there? Kind of a crimped metal edge. So this metal edge is amazing because it's going to allow us to trim really close to our basting stitch without trimming into our block. How we used to do this before that, the Trimmer by George and the crimped metal edge, was you could just take an acrylic ruler, kind of slide it under the fabric, lay it down. Ultimately, you end up trimming into your block or you're leaving still quite a bit of bulk in your seam allowance. But with that metal edge on the Trimmer by George, you just kind of stand your trimmer up on it, shimmy it underneath the fabric on the top of the block, and then lay it flat. Now, you want to make sure that none of your fabric is sticking out. And oops, some of mine is. See, that's why you double check that. Make sure that none of your fabric is sticking out. Give a little gentle tug on your battleizer to get that metal edge as close as possible to your basting stitch. And then I'm going to use a 60mm rotary cutter. You want to use 60 because you have a little bit of extra height on that trimmer right there because of that metal edge. Okay, so now we're just going to trim away. Let's take a peek at what that looks like on the back. I know I always use white fabric in all of my demonstrations, which you'd think I would learn someday, but I think you can actually see that pretty good. So you can see how all that bulk is removed, right? So we're going to do that on another side. I'm going to turn it over and do the opposite side. And by the way, this is how you're going to trim for blocks, the side of the block that has another block sewn to it. So in my layout, you can see where this X falls. It has a block joined to it on every side. That's why we're removing that bulk from all sides on this block. When you have a border block, you again want to remove your bulk from any side that has a block attached to it. But if you're going to sew binding to that side, you just trim 1/4 inch from the basting stitch through all layers. And our instructions have all of this information in there. I'll show you those real quick before I keep trimming.
And we'll have Nina drop the link again. I know I saw 1 or 2 comments asking, where do I get this trimmer?
Yeah,
we'll make sure you know. We'll drop a link.
So our trimming instructions are great because you've got your little diagram here, right? So this is your 3-block wall hanging, and you can see bold blue lines in these areas, and then it's outlined in a bold red line. And up here, here's your key. So if you see a blue line, you use Trimmer by George to remove battleizer up to basting stitch. Fabric on the front of the block is trimmed 1/4 inch from the basting stitch. Where you see a red line, so along the outside, you trim 1/4 inch from the basting stitch through all layers. So this is a really helpful key to have in front of you when you're trimming all your blocks. Okay, so back to trimming our X block. Again, I'm going to take that metal edge, shimmy it underneath the fabric on the front of the block, lay it flat, make sure no fabric is peeking out. And if it's not, I'm just going to give a little gentle tug to get it as close as possible to the basting stitch. And then your 60mm rotary cutter is what you'll want to use to trim your battleizer away.
Oops, I keep trying to pop a comment and then the next one pops up right under my cursor.
Yeah.
But I've popped up several comments, Sarah, from our customers who have this saying how much they love it.
Okay, so last side, again, just shimmy that up under there. Make sure no fabric is peeking out, little gentle tug, and then trim. Okay, so now we have all of that battleizer removed from our seams, right? Our seam allowances. So now we need to trim the front of our block. And yesterday someone was asking, why don't you trim, you know, some of this fabric along this edge when you're placing it? This is why, because now we're going to trim it. We've removed the bulk. Now we're going to trim the fabric on the front of the block. So all I'm doing right now is turning, I'm using the other side of my trimmer, the acrylic ruler side. So I turned it over. My metal edge is on the top because I'm not going to use it. And now I'm just going to trim 1/4 inch from the basting stitch on each of the sides of this block. So voila. Easy. And this is where the difference from traditional quilting really is, a huge difference. You don't have to trim 1/4 inch perfectly right here. Your block's already squared up because your square is what is inside those basting stitches. Okay.
What do we think?
There we go. You think you can do it? I think
so. If you have not, so we've seen a wonderful comments about people who have had it, use it, love it. Thank you guys for that. If you've never used it, what do you think? Do you think, give me a thumbs up or yes, if you feel like that's something you could do. I think you can. It'll change,
I think so
change
too.
your In the Hoop projects.
I'm just throwing all my stuff over here by you, Aubrey. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay. So now let's talk. We did trimming. Now we're moving on to pinning and joining. Now, one thing I wanted to show you was I'm laying this out a little different. And that's completely fine because these blocks don't have any applique or piecing or quilting that runs from block to block. You can lay out your blocks for your wall hanging however you want. You could use 9 blocks. You could use 12. You could really use however many you want. But this is our 3-block wall hanging. I just kind of changed up the layout of where my X, my O, and my heart are. So I've already joined these 2 bottom blocks. Now what I need to do is join our X and our O. So we're going to take our blocks, put them right sides together. Actually, let me back up. I always get a step ahead of myself on this. So oftentimes when you're joining blocks, you need to have what they call match points, right? Because you want your quilting to line up in many instances. With this one, not quite as much, right? Because we're not lining up any piecing or any quilting. But every time you're joining blocks, there are always at least 2 match points. In this case, it's just our corners. So this corner, these 2 corners, and these 2 corners on our 2 blocks that we're joining, we want to match up. So keep that in mind because now we're going to put them right sides together. I'm going to grab my pins. And I'm going to take this anchor pin. This is going to be called my anchor pin. And I'm going to stick it directly through the match point, which is my corner on my first block. See how it's going directly through? And then I'm going to go directly through on the other block. think you can see how it's not going back down into the block, and it's right at the corner basting stitch. So we're going to do the same thing over on this side, directly through my match point and then directly through my corresponding match point. So you can see those two right there. Now these are my anchor pins again. So what I'm going to do right next to my anchor pin is I'll grab another pin. I'm going to pin through the seam allowance and then down into my block. The reason that we have these anchor pins is because when I'm pinning down into and through my block doesn't shift and my match points stay nice and tight right up against each other. Now that I've pinned down into my block, I can remove my anchor pin. Now I'm going to come over here and again on the same side, the other side, right next to my anchor pin, go through the seam allowance and then right down into my block, and then you can remove your anchor pin. Now I don't have any other true match points on here. So what I do in this instance is I'm just going to I have my 2 pins in already. I'm doing this. This is my last one. I'm just going to kind of pinch my block right in the center right here. And then right at my basting stitch, I'm going to take another anchor pin and just push it directly through. Now what happens is I know that I have it at the basting stitch on the block that's closest to me, and I can kind of open it up and make sure it's on the basting stitch on the block that's further away from me. See, it's a little high, so all I'm going to do is take that pin out and just kind of move it down a little.
So I have lots of questions that I'm starring that we are going to talk about later, but this one applies to exactly what you're doing right now.
Yes.
So if it's okay, I'm going to pop this one up right now.
Okay, Miss Linda wants to know, do you have to worry about the anchor pin angling, or is that not an issue? As long as your anchor pin is directly on the corresponding match points in both blocks, it should be fine because you're going to pinch your block together and make sure that those match points are right up next to each other. Mm-hmm. So it might look a little like that, right? But I'm going to make sure I'm pinching those together, and then I'm putting my pin down into my block. Then I can remove my anchor pin. As long as, again, those match points, your anchor pin is directly through your match points, and you just kind of pinch your blocks together right at that anchor pin, it's going to keep those match points nice and tight for when you're adding your pins down into your block. Mm-hmm. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to the machine, and I'm going to start at the very corner. You can just do a locking stitch, or you can back up a stitch or two, then come forward, and I'm going to stitch directly on my basting stitch, removing pins as I go, obviously. And I'll stop. You can either stop right at the other corner, do a locking stitch, or you can go a stitch or two beyond that and then back a stitch or two.
And I did see someone asked about using clips. We never use clips. If it works for you, fantastic. Mm-hmm. We use the pins. So, but you can try whatever you'd like.
That's right.
We definitely like the pins.
Okay. While I do this, Aubrey, do you want to chat with them a little bit?
Yes.
Okay.
I will do that. Okay. So while she is stitching that seam real quick, I wanted to just remind you guys, we do have some participating affiliate shops who have this in stock. They are ready to go. They have all this stuff. So if you are near Lake Jackson, Texas, Woodstock, Illinois, Twin Falls, Idaho, Lima, Ohio, Northeast Pennsylvania, or Seymour, Connecticut, and your ears just perked up, then you have a shop on the screen that you can go to. They can help you pick fabrics and sell you this design. So check them out, okay? I'm starring comments too, guys. So I do see some questions, and I promise we have a Q&A. Keep them coming because we're going to be doing some Q&A at the end here today. And we're not done. Sarah's coming back in just a second, and we're going to talk backing too. But I'm going to ask Nina to drop the order link again. And she's going to go iron that seam real quick. And then the reason we're going to drop it is because today is the very last day to take advantage of the Create Your Own Bundle promotion. And so what you're going to want to do is make sure that you go to the link that Nina just dropped and put 2 items from that category in your cart. Here's something I did not mention yesterday. If you're an international customer, we do have downloads available. So digital downloads. And what that means is you can basically put 2 downloads of 2 different projects in your cart and you'll still get the 10% off. You'll still get the bonus. And then you don't have to get anything shipped to you because shipping internationally can be really pricey and just take a while. So just know that. So there are a few exclusions with this. That would be the wool product, the strip stick, which we're about to show you, and the threads. But everything else in there, I'm talking the trimmer you just saw, that can be part of the create your own bundle. So how awesome is that? Plus the battleizer that's in there can be a part of it, the hoop scissors. So there's several things that you can just pick 2 items, put them in your cart, and you're going to get some really cool automatic promotions happening. Okay, Sarah?
Yeah.
Are you starting comments? You want me to keep going or?
I can.
Okay.
I'll take it back.
All right. Back to Sarah. There you go.
Okay. So now my blocks are all joined together. So these are the blocks. These 2 blocks are the ones that we just joined together. So again, not really a lot of match points on this, but you can still see right here. I'm going to borrow your pen. You can still see the red basting stitch because I didn't use water soluble thread. So you can see that they line up really nicely, which is perfect because these are my only true match points on these 2 blocks. So I really encourage you, if you've never used that anchor point pinning technique, give it a try, practice with it a few times. It works really nicely. And I snuck in the other room and I pressed my seam just to one side. And when I pressed it, I used wool in this. So I used our strip stick, not our strip stick, I should say. I used a strip stick, which is great. If you've never heard of this, it's kind of like a metal, or not a metal. Oh my goodness. Please help me. It's kind of like a wood dowel.
Mm-hmm.
Am I saying it?
DOWL?
Okay. Cut in half. So there's a flat side and then you have your rounded side. And then it's got a little batting or something around it. So what you do is you lay it on the flat side, take your seam that you're pressing and lay it right over that. And then you can press and your iron is not flat down. Because if you just lay this like this and you've used wool, you're going to press all that wool flat, and all that beautiful dimension that you have in your quilting is just going to be flat. So make sure you're using a strip stick or a rolling pin or something like that if you're using wool in your designs or in your quilts. Okay. So now what am I doing? Keep me on on track, Aubrey.
Well, backing is on the agenda. So we've trimmed.
That's right.
We've pinned. We've joined.
Now what?
Or how are we doing? So let's just take a quick pulse of the audience. How are we doing? Everybody on the same page? We've trimmed, we've pinned, we've joined. We're heading into backing. And I do have some wonderful comments I've starred for our Q&A, which we will get to.
Yes. Yeah. So now we're going to pretend like our border blocks are on here. Can we do that today? Can we pretend like my border blocks are stitched out and joined to our 3-block wall hanging?
Let's pretend,
everything is joined together, but this is my back right now. And
ew,
I want it to be a little prettier, right? Okay. So all you have to do, and again, I'm going to go back to instructions for this because I think this is important. If I can flip the page, there's assembly. So it's walking you through exactly how to join everything and add your backing fabric. And this is actually the page I should be on. At the front of your instructions, though, is your supply list. So it's going to tell you exactly what size to cut your backing fabric. So 16 inches by 29 inches, which gives you about an inch of overhang on all sides. So that's essentially what I cut this to. I cut my backing fabric for my 3 blocks so that I'd have about an inch of overhang on all sides. And I should say the answer to number 4, by the way, if you are using your workbook again today on those fill in the blanks, the answer to number 4 is that the Hugs and Kisses project, so the 3-block wall
I'm trying to cover it up and show it. It's not this.
Well, I should answer number 5 too because we already covered
well,
that.
That's true. Show them everything.
So number 4, the Hugs and Kisses projects are best finished with a 1-piece backing. And there is a little bit of a caveat to this if you want to use the bonus border. We'll get into that in a moment. Number 5, the Trimmer by George is an acrylic ruler with a crimped metal edge. And that tool, that's the tool that helps you remove bulk from your seam allowance. So that's what we just covered. I should have said that earlier. I'm sorry. Okay, so I've got my backing fabric cut. I've got about 1 inch of overhang on all sides. Now I'm just gonna lay it right side down. This is so simple, you guys. You're gonna be amazed if you've never seen this before. Just lay it right side down. Take your joined blocks, lay them right side up, right on top, and then just grab some quilting safety pins. And what you want to do now is you want to pin these two together, right? You want to pin them together. You do want to make sure that you are avoiding seams. You don't want to have a pin that's crossing over your seam. So I'm not going to pin right here, right? And the size of these projects is super manageable. So I just do this on my cutting table, and I don't even tape the edges of my backing fabric. You don't even need to do that. So I'm just pinning, avoiding our seams. Okay, let's make sure I got them all. I did. Okay, so now that it's pinned, you can head over to your machine. I'm not going to show you this on the machine today, but now that it's pinned, you can head over to your machine. The way I like to do this is to add a monopoly invisible thread to both your needle and your bobbin. I find that that works best. It blends right in, and I'll show it. I'll point it out where it is on our sample. But if you don't like working with monopoly a ton, that's totally fine. You are going to have to put it in your needle. Slow your machine down. That helps it as well. Slow your machine down. Make sure monopoly invisible thread is in the needle. And if you don't want to put it in the bobbin, just put a thread that matches your backing fabric in the bobbin. Super easy. Then you're going to select a serpentine stitch on your machine. You probably have a built-in serpentine stitch. A serpentine stitch just kind of meanders back and forth. And you're going to kind of stitch in the ditch, only not with a straight stitch, with that serpentine stitch just right over your seams. Okay?
And you won't see it.
And do this one. No, and I'm going to point it out on here.
Until we point it out, then maybe you'll see it, but you can't tell it's there.
So, for instance, the backing is joined with that serpentine stitch. Now, if I hold it up, let's see if I can point it out. I even in person am having a hard time finding it on this one. I don't think we can even see it.
Flip the back
there. You can see it on the back a little more, that's for sure. But on the front, it blends right in. Okay, let me see your pen again, can I? Okay, so on the back, I'm going to kind of trace it with my pen cap. Can you guys see that as I'm tracing it?
I can.
A little bit. It stands out a little bit more on the back, but on the front, you can't see that. And truthfully, with this one in person, I'm having a hard time seeing it on the front. But so that is how you're going to add your backing fabric. And then after that, you're just going to trim your backing fabric even with your raw edges. So even with those raw edges.
Linda says, wow, serpentine stitch eliminates the drunken look stitch in the ditch.
Yes.
There you go.
Seriously. Stitching a straight line is really difficult sometimes. I'm with you, Linda. So try the serpentine stitch because it's really forgiving, especially if you're using that monopoly thread in your needle at least. So again, that's how you're going to add your backing fabric. The one thing I think I actually did leave out, I should have had step-by-step in front of me because this is what I do when I don't have that in front of me. So after you do your serpentine stitch, you're just going to baste along the edges, on the outside edges of your quilt, and then you can trim your backing fabric even and add a sleeve and add binding, and you're all set. Do I have any questions about this that I should do right now?
Tons of questions.
Or do you just want to
so
grab them at the
while
end?
we're doing backing, I'm seeing questions about what about with this one?
Yeah, so this one is a little bit different. This is what I was hoping to cover next. I'm going to snag. I'll show them on here. Okay, So I'm going to take my backing off here, right? Because if you're using this, you are not going to back with a one-piece backing.
This is the bonus with the curved edge.
Right, right. This is the bonus, and there are corner bonus blocks as well to round out your corners if you want to use them. That's all included in that same bonus block file. So you're not going to do a one-piece backing. You're going to do a lining, which truly is just as easy. But I saw someone yesterday asked, how do you trim this?
Yeah.
And so when you trim this, you're lining it, right? So you want to remove the battleizer from right up to the basting stitch on all sides. So obviously your flat side, you can use the Trimmer by George. You can remove all that bulk right up to the basting stitch. But on your curvy sides, you are going to have to go in with a hoop scissors mini is what I would use. And you're going to have to very carefully, now my blocks are joined together, but I'm going to give this a whirl. You're going to have to very carefully, and I like to work with that back side up, but you're just going to carefully and slowly trim your battleizer away. So you can do it, just take your time. And with that hoop scissors mini, you can trim right up next to that basting stitch. So
makes you thankful for the trimmer, honestly.
Yeah, it does. But it is doable. It's just, it takes a little bit longer. It's going to take a little more time. But again, because of this curve, you're going to add a lining. So how do you add a lining if you've never done it?
And how is it different from backing?
Yeah, so it's a little different from back. It's just the technique to finish your quilt essentially, because it's still going to be on the back, right? But what you're going to do is you'll take about the same size piece of fabric. Let's put a lining on this now. We're going to act like we're lining these 3 blocks. So instead of putting things wrong sides together, you are going to place them right sides together.
So is this kind of like a pillow, like where you have to turn it inside out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to take my lining fabric. I'm going to lay it right side up, I should say. So right side up. Then I'm going to take my blocks that are joined together and I'm going to lay them right side down on top. Same thing. I'm going to take my pins. I'm going to pin these 2 together. I like to put a pin in every block too. I think it makes it nice and secure.
This should answer your question on YouTube, Diane Wolf. This is the lining.
Yeah, let us know if it doesn't, and I'll see if I can be a little more precise. So a lining. So again, right sides together. I've put a pin in each block to join those 2 together. So my lining fabric and my joined blocks. And now to line it, all I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch with my blocks side up, and I'm going to stitch right along the basting stitch around the entirety of my wall hanging or my tiny topper. I want to make sure though that I'm leaving an opening, because you want to leave maybe a 6 to 8 inch opening, because after you stitch your lining on and attach it, you're going to trim your lining even with your fabric and then turn everything right side out, press it, and then you're just going to top stitch that opening closed. Now before turning, if you're doing the little scallop border, kind of just a really gentle curve on it, you might want to take your hoop scissors or your hoop scissors mini and just trim little V-shaped notches in it. And what that'll do is that'll let those curves lay a little bit better after you've turned it. So hopefully that helps.
Okay. Cool. All right. Anything else you want to show?
I think I'm done with my part. I know I've probably got questions to answer.
Yes, I do have questions starred. We are going to do a Q&A at the end. If I saw one while she was talking, I kind of like already pointed her in that direction. But we will, if we haven't said anything about your question, it's coming. We're going to do a whole Q&A. Do you open your seams when sewing around the lining, Sarah?
No, I do not. I almost always press my seams to one side.
Okay.
I say almost always because there probably are some Hoop Sisters projects where you might have a little too much bulk and you might want to open up a seam, but I always press to one side.
Okay. I'm just going to star some of these so that I can jump back in over here. And then we will answer some more questions as well. I feel like we are rocking and rolling, you guys. We have already done trimming, pinning, joining, backing, lining. We've done a lot. Okay. You also got a peek into our instructions. Hopefully that was helpful if you are new here. Okay. So again, the Create Your Own Bundle promotion does expire tonight at midnight. And that just means if you add 2 items from the link that we're about to drop in the comments, at least 2, you'll get 10% off, and that curved bonus, which you would want to do the lining version on, will pop into your cart for free. So you get that cute little bonus that you can play with the lining. Isn't that nice? Okay. All right, moving right along. There is that curved border. You can see it's just that slight little curved border. That is the bonus. That is what will happen. It'll pop in your cart automatically if you have 2 or more items from the link that we're dropping. Sarah, hopefully you're looking at those comments because they're coming fast. All right, so here's why it's so cool to order during workshop if you're thinking about trying this. You will save that 10% and get that free bonus. That's a $15 value. So you're going to save $23 if you order during workshop, which expires tonight at midnight. So I like saving $23. And then if you need some more stuff, like say you're out of Battleizer, or maybe you're new here and you need the trimmer and the scissors and that sort of thing, it's a really nice time to order because this promotion also includes free shipping within the contiguous US over $129. So just here's what I recommend. Start adding what you need, what you want to your cart, and that automatic promotions will kick in and you're going to get the best deal. But if something doesn't look right, you can always get in touch with us directly after the live and we will be of help to you. Quickly, I just want to cover the tools. We do recommend all the tools on the screen right here. This is what we use, best results. The Battleizer is amazing. We're going to talk more about that during Q&A because I did see some questions. What is Battleizer? Why is this cool? What's different about it? But basically, it's a batting and stabilizer product in one. So we'll pull that out and show you during Q&A as well. That is included in the Create Your Own Bundle. Also, we have the mini hoop scissors, the regular hoop scissors. Those have the offset handle, makes trimming in the hoop super simple. Those are part of the Create Your Own Bundle promotion, as well as our trimmer, which we showed you today to trim up your blocks. And then everything on the bottom of the screen, these are not Hoop Sisters products. They're not our products like the top products are, but we use them, we love them, we sell them. So those are on the website. They're just not included in the bundle. Wool should be on this slide too, because you could get wool.
You could. Which
we'll talk about during Q&A as well. Okay, I'm moving right along. So here's our complete set for the 2 days of the workshop. The tiny topper and the wall hanging are included together, whether you're getting the design on USB or the design by digital download. The heart coaster was part of the registration gift. And then, of course, the curved edge border block is our bonus. Okay. All right. So again, I just want to make sure everyone hears me. Nobody goes, hey, I didn't know that this was going to expire. I thought I had more time. Now's really the best time to act if you are ready to try this. And, you know, today we've been talking about sourdough in the office.
We have.
This is my sourdough because I'm terrified to make sourdough bread. I can't bake a lick, but I'm going to attempt it. 2025 is my year to try that out. And so maybe this is your sourdough where you're like, you know what? I'm on the fence, but I really want to figure this out. I think this is easier than sour bread.
Oh, I think
it's gotta be
easier than, well, they are both easy, I will say.
Oh,
you
just
have to give them a try, right?
All right. Well, you know, and then also we have a giveaway we're about to do next. We have a winner. I think I have it on my desk. Actually, I might have to run over there and grab it. We have a live viewer giveaway, which I will give you guys one more chance to get in on by typing the word kisses in the comments. I'm going to step away for 2 seconds and grab I have a giveaway winner for the challenge. Okay.
I saw her name earlier on here, actually.
I did too.
Still be on.
I did too. I hope she is. Okay. So while you guys are finishing up typing the word kisses, Sarah, there's still questions in between and they're flying. So I hope you're seeing them. So we have the live viewer challenge coming, or viewer winner coming up, and then we have our challenge winner. So the challenge winner, we challenged you all, whoever registered for this workshop, we challenged you to make the heart block and post it in our VIP Facebook group. And if you did that, you got an entry into our challenge drawing. So I have that winner here. The heart block, by the way, this was the free gift that was emailed to you if you registered for this event. So that's how you get the free gifts. Tomorrow, we're going to have another workshop coming up and another free gift. So stay tuned for that. But we loved seeing all your projects. There were so many really cute ones. Randomly drew Julie Herb, or Herb. I guess it's probably Herb, right? Julie Herb, and you, Julie, have won $25 in store credit, and I've already put it in your account. So that means you can go shopping and you have $25 in Hoop Sisters store credit to play with on our website. So congratulations, Julie. Julie Herb is the winner. So awesome. Okay, now we're going to do our live viewer giveaway. So it pays to be here live. We always like to have a replay available, and we do, but I'm telling you, it's fun to be here live. We can answer your questions and we can do giveaways. All right, I'm drawing the winner. Now this live viewer winner is going to get $50 in Hoop Sisters store credit. So we're giving away a lot today. Marion Portman watching over on YouTube. You are the winner. Congratulations, Marion. So here's what you're going to want to do, Marion. You are going to need to get in touch with Miss Nina Gladden via email. You have 5 days to email her. Let her know that you were the $50 store credit winner, and she will put that in your cart so that you can play with that, go shopping, all that good stuff, okay? Congratulations. Okay, awesome. Now, for the part that Nina doesn't know about. I put a cape on Nina.
I think she'll like it.
I hope so. One time she was on vacation and I put her picture on the beach in a beach chair. I put a cape on her today because she's the superhero. If you have any specific questions and you're just like, what the heck? I don't understand what this cart's doing, or what was that free shipping total? Anything like that. Nina can help you.
Said OMG.
She can help you. So here's what I got for you. Don't let your questions go unanswered, and don't let your cart go abandoned. Nina can rescue you, and she'll take good care of you.
Yes,
so
she will.
She didn't know I was going to do that today. Every day after we do like a workshop, she comes in and says, good job, everybody. Today she's going to go, what the heck is wrong with you? We like to have fun around here. Deb knows. Deb Randall's on here. She knows we're a little crazy. But anyways, if you have a specific question, please just know you can reach out and we will definitely get you taken care of, okay? So at this point in our little show here, we are going to move into question and answer time. And we have starred about 30 comments that we are going to highlight and go through. See, Mary said Nina deserves a cape. All right, so here's what we want you to know. If you are a number 2 and you feel confident and your order's placed, don't feel like you have to stick around. Of course you can. Everyone is welcome to stay. But at this point, we're going to dive into your questions, answer your specific questions, and just try to be a help. So if there's something in general that you want to know about the design or the products, we're here to help, okay? So that's what we're going to move into right now. And Sarah is going to do most of that.
Okay.
Do you want to look at these and then
you want to trade me spots? And
yes.
Then you can keep an eye on comments over here.
Yes.
Maybe? And I'll be up here. Okay. And now I have to try to remember what I was doing when you guys asked these questions. That's the challenge. But okay, so Debbie asked, for those of you that have the Trimmer by George, why wouldn't you just trim the batting after placement versus doing it at the end? Pros or cons? This is my first Hoop Sister event / project. Well, first of all, welcome, Debbie. Thank you for your question. So the reason that you wouldn't do that is because Battleizer is what you're putting directly in your hoop. It's one product that you're putting in there. You're not using a stabilizer and then tacking down your batting on top. You're just putting your Battleizer in there. And one thing that I'll tell you is after you trim your blocks, you will have a little bit of waste, right? You saw this when I trimmed it. But it's not truly waste because around here we do what we call making Frankenbat. So Frankenbat is essentially you're just going to take these two pieces of Battleizer, butt them up next to one another like so, and then just with a neutral thread in your needle, just stitch a zigzag stitch to join these into one larger piece that you can then hoop again. So I hope that answers your question. Let me know if you have any more questions regarding that. Let's see. Janice wants to know what is the difference between George 2 and 3. So there's not a huge difference. I don't know where there's mine. Let me go grab the 2 and I'll show you. If I can find it easily, and I can. So, oh, they're clear. So that wasn't, I'm going to show you down here. Oh, they can see that. Okay, so this is the Trimmer by George 2.0. This is the 3.0. So the 3.0 is a little more compact, but still a great size for working with your blocks. One of the best differences in it is that the metal edge is much sturdier on the 3.0. But Janice, if you have the 2.0 and it works great for you, same functionality. So don't feel like you have to have the 3 in order to do this. Just keep using your 2 as long as it's working great for you. Let's see.
Some of them might be repeats, Sarah, because there's always a lot going on. I'm like,
yeah. So Teresa says, is each section big enough for a placemat? So I know I said placemat, but what I was referring to was the tiny topper. The tiny topper. So this is truly, it's 8 blocks stitched together because you've got your 2 border blocks on the side, your 4 blocks in the middle, and then 2 on the other side. So I think this is about 14 inches by 20 inches, but these blocks put together are a nice placemat size.
Are you unstarring as you
Yes.
go? Okay.
I am unstarring as I go, yet there's still the same amount of start.
Sorry.
Yeah, put that on the big screen. Okay, someone asked just now if we can put this on the big screen, the difference between these two.
Yeah.
By the way, we should mention, I don't know if you did or not, that this one is no longer available.
Correct.
So this is the only one there is.
Mm-hmm.
But there you go. A lot of people already have this one. You can keep using it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the new and only option is the 3.
And again, the best part of the 3 is that metal edge is much sturdier than on the 2. So that was the upgrade from the 2. But if you still have the 2 and it works great for you, then that's absolutely fine. Okay. Okay, Iris over on YouTube says, my machine does not like the water-soluble thread. It is breaking even at low speeds. Do you have an answer to this problem? Can I use another thread? Iris, I would recommend maybe trying to play with your tension a little bit. Maybe your tension's a little bit too tight on the top. You could adjust that. I know depending on, I've heard certain brands of machines tend to not like it a little bit more. And that typically is the fix, is kind of playing with your tension a little bit. If you're still having troubles, really the best solution is to just use a thread that matches your fabric, because that's the only thing that's going to blend in even close to a water-soluble thread that's removable.
And Cecilia Kaig over on Facebook asks something very similar. So hopefully that answers your question as well, Cecilia.
Okay, Teresa over on YouTube wants to know if the quilting designs can be used on other designs. You could. They are not intended for you to do that. So when you open up a file, your file is going to look exactly like the block you see here. The quilting is part of that file. It's not separated out because it's not really intended to be used on other designs.
And Bonita has a good comment too that just came through, and you might have said this, but I'm also looking at comments, and she said that storing, if your water soluble thread is old, you might need to replace it, or depending on how you store it. Did you talk about that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so that was a good additional comment from Bonita on Facebook.
Okay, and then Facebook, Miss Bonnie wants to know why a 60 millimeter rotary cutter. So that's because there's a little bit of additional height because of that crimped metal edge. I have seen people use a 45. What you're probably doing is if you are using a smaller rotary cutter, you're probably, I'm going to do this over here actually.
Okay. There you go.
So if you are using a smaller rotary cutter, you're not using a 60, you're probably angling your blade so that it doesn't run up against that metal edge. And if you're doing that, you're just more likely to cut into your block that way. So that's why we say a 60. Okay. Mary on YouTube, you say the trimmer by George is in her cart. My largest hoop is 6 by 10. What projects will fit in my hoop? And there are lots of.
I'm going to interrupt you. Sorry. I actually started this and I noticed Nina answered it during, and she's answered a lot of them, but we just like to do this again. So if somebody didn't see it or hear it, and Nina had a great recommendation, which is our heartfelt half square.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of designs on our website, and a lot of them include a 5-inch block. So a 5 by 5-inch block would work great in your hoop, or a 5 by 7-inch block. You just want to check the product description. But if you go to our website and kind of navigate to pick your design and then the littles collection, you'll see some that are kind of like 4 blocks put together with a border. Those are our true littles collection projects, and many of those, or most of them, have that 5-inch block like Heartfelt does. So just make sure you read the product description and it will explain that for you. Okay, I'm just see a couple duplicates that I already answered. Marie on Facebook asked if the rotary cutter is included with the trimmer by George on our website. It is not included. It's just the trimmer by George that's on our website.
We don't sell a rotary cutter at all.
That's right. Pat, I just use the default stitch length when I have the straight stitch on there. It either defaults to maybe 1.8 or 2.4, just whatever your default is. You obviously don't want to use a really long basting stitch, but I just use the default stitch length. So Ivy over on YouTube wants to know, what is Battleizer and how is it different from batting? So it's different from batting because Battleizer is a batting and stabilizer combination. So essentially what it is, if I can get it, it has the scrim of a stabilizer and with the batting on top. So I just kind of like pulled it, my Battleizer, a bit, and you can see there's this scrim part, and then this is the batting part. So typically, I mean, I just pulled it right. You can kind of see them split right there. But that is what makes Battleizer special, is that it has movement to it, obviously, but it can still stand up to dense stitches because of the stabilizer component to it.
I wanted to show this too. So this is the 5 yards. This is how it comes for the Battleizer. It's a cotton and polyester blend, and it's 24 inches wide, so it poops up super nice. But this is, I just wanted you guys to see what that looked like.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, she put me on the screen. Oh, no, it's okay. Let's see. Shelly on Facebook ordered hers yesterday and already got an email saying it shipped. That's amazing, Shelly. Shout out to our shipping team. They're on it. Okay, Pam, I think you're asking which side of the battleizer to hoop up. Like, is there a right side or a wrong side? I'm going to give you two answers to this, and you can decide how you want to proceed. I truthfully think you could stitch with either side up. You could hoop either side up and you're going to be fine. Technically, the side that the scrim is on, so here's my scrim. It's on this side right now. It's a little bit shinier, so you might be able to see it depending on the lighting in your sewing room, a little bit shinier. But if you're adding backing in the hoop, your backing tends to cling to that a little bit more. So technically speaking, you could hoop it with the scrim side down. If you look at it and you feel it and you go, they feel the same, I don't know which side's the scrim, don't worry, it's completely fine. Your block is going to stitch just as good with the scrim side up, so don't worry about that. Joe, battleizer does not, where's my, there it is. Battleizer does not have wool in it. I think they're looking at what I'm pointing at. I also thought it was Friday for most of the day. I don't know what's going on with me. But it's about 60% cotton, and then you've got some components of poly in there. So just a mix of cotton and poly. And Deb over on YouTube says, your directions are the best. What are you doing over here?
Deb.
Well, thank you, Deb. I'm gonna, how do you back the scalloped borders? So I did cover that, Colleen. You're not going to add a one-piece backing. You're going to line your finished project. I did cover that. So after the live, you'll be able to go back and see a quick demonstration on that. Tina on YouTube said, I don't see a digital download of Hugs and Kisses on the, I assume you're meaning the website, only the USB. If you still can't find it, it definitely should be there in the new arrivals category on our website. But if you still don't see that after the live, you could give Nina a call and she can help you out with that. Joe wants to know, do you need wool for this project? You definitely don't need wool for the project. It's always an optional step. We like to use wool because it adds some dimension to your quilting. So especially if you're using a contrasting thread in like your daisy quilting steps and wool, it's going to give it a lot more dimension underneath that quilting. But you certainly do not need it. You can just skip those additional wool batting steps if you'd like. I would
also add, Joe, I know you are new and you're kind of wondering, like, is this one of the questions that is coming up for you, Sarah, is from Joe as well that I starred. And she's like, is this really for beginners? Like, yes. She said she was feeling more confident yesterday. I would say if you're brand new and you're like on the fence, maybe skip the wool this time. Right? Just go the other route. Keep it simple. And so that would be my advice for Joe.
Yeah. And Joe, so what I like about our projects is truthfully, they're all beginner friendly. The biggest difference in the projects is maybe how much piecing something has or how many blocks there are to stitch. So this is definitely beginner friendly because it's going to be a quicker project for you. You know, you're not stitching an entire king size quilt out or anything like that. It's much more manageable. And if you want to start with an even simpler block than like a stitch and flip or something like that, which is still really, really simple, just start with one of the border blocks because all this is some quilting and some applique on there. So it's really, really simple. I kind of joke with Aubrey, if she knew how to thread the machine, she could do this.
Yeah, well,
and so can you.
It isn't that I just have a full-time job, 3 kids, a husband. So it's just not in the cards for me.
Yeah, right, that's right. And Daria on YouTube says, I was a beginner and all was fine. Just follow the instructions. You will be amazed. Yes, I think you will be too. Thank you for that, Daria. Those are such kind words. And if you run into any issues or you're confused at any part, just give Nina a call or shoot her an email and she will help you get everything worked out.
And I'm going to cut in line with this question because it's along the same lines as what we were just talking about. So is the wool an additional layer in addition to the battleizer? And the answer is yes. It's a separate product.
and it's an option. It's always an optional step. You can skip it. You don't have to use it. It's just a preference.
And I've seen, I think I saw a couple questions, maybe they're coming up. But I know some people are allergic to wool or don't want to use wool. You can use something like a polyester or a bamboo instead. So yeah, different options if you don't want to use wool. Diana on YouTube says, I still consider myself a beginner. I enjoy their projects, easy to follow. Well, thank you, Diana. Oh, Mary on YouTube said, I have trouble seeing the monopoly thread to even do the machine threading. LOL, that's funny.
That is funny.
It does. It really blends right in. So
almost too good, huh?
Yeah. Okay. So I see a couple questions too about width and length of my serpentine stitch. I don't use a particular width or length. You guys don't have to either. Just select a serpentine stitch that's built into your machine, and you can just elongate it a little bit to soften some of those curves. But there is no set length or width that you have to use.
I'm cutting again. Okay, this question, I just start over here. Because we've gotten a couple people saying, Joe, just do it, or anyone who's new on here watching. And they're saying they were a beginner at one time too. Linda started with a queen-sized heirloom quilt. So for those of you who are new to Hoop Sisters, this is a smaller project. We have some majorly huge quilts that can be bed size, even up to king size. Linda, wow, way to just jump in. But I love that she says after the first block, it was smooth sailing. Yeah. I'm so proud of you for not being intimidated by that really big quilt. So that's awesome. I keep cutting you. I'm sorry.
You do. Get out of here. Okay, Donna on YouTube says, what goes in the bobbin when using wash away thread? We don't change our bobbin when putting wash away thread. When you are quilting in the hoop, at least for this project, you're just going to leave the same thing in the bobbin, and we just use pre-wound bobbins. So no need to change it. Wash away only goes in the needle. Okay, I started this one because I actually like this idea. When I was trimming the the bonus border block, I don't know where it went, but that nice, like kind of slightly curved edge, I said you have to clip V notches into that. Because you're lining it and you want those curves to lay nice and flat. And Millie said, could you use pinking shears instead of notching? I definitely think you could, Millie. The only drawback that I can think of is you probably have a little less control over a pinking shears than you do a nice pair of scissors with a really fine tip on them. At least for me, that would be the drawback. But I think you could definitely give it a try. It's a good idea. Okay. Sue over on YouTube said, do you go back and quilt the top when using the lining? So I think, so the quilting, first of all, is included. So that's already done after you do the lining. But I think what you're talking about is once it's lined, let's say this one's lined, you've got it turned right side out, you stitched your opening closed. Do you go back and kind of stitch in the ditch with that serpentine stitch? You definitely can. It kind of just depends on if you like how it's laying. If it's laying nice and flat, you don't have to. If you want it to lay a little flatter, then yeah, go back, put that monopoly in the needle and in the bobbin, or a thread that matches your lining fabric in the bobbin, and then just use that serpentine stitch to kind of meander along those seams. Kathy on YouTube says, I'm so excited. I just purchased the fabric bundle, the design, and the toolbox. It's her first in the hoop quilt, and she's making it for her brand new grandbaby girl. That's awesome. So sweet.
Congrats, Kathy. You're going to love it. What a lucky little grandbaby.
Aw.
That is a really sweet project for her.
I'm going to let you answer this one.
Can I bundle the pattern and battleizer without the fabric kit? You sure can. Your instructions will come with a fabric and thread key, so you can use any fabric. You can pull stuff out of your stash. It does not have to be the fabric kit that we sell, and you will still get the 10% off, and you will still get the bonus if you do that. Yeah.
Here, I started this one for you.
Oh! It is really not as dumb. Okay. So that's why I'm saying, like, I feel like some of you guys feel about Hoop Sisters. I feel like that about sourdough. I'm like, oh my gosh. But you know what? I decided 2025, I'm going all in, and it could get screwed up, but what's the worst that can happen? I'll throw it away and start over. So
she's even got an amazing coworker here who offered her some of her sourdough.
I know. How fun is that? So yeah, I might have to send you guys, I might have to post some pictures of my creations if they turn out.
That one's for you too.
Can we get, yeah, as long as you're bundling it with something else in that category, you can get it off the 15 yards of Battleizer 2 for sure.
Another question for you.
If I buy a roll of Battleizer and spend 129 is the threshold. Now, if your cart is 129 and then the 10% comes off and it dips below, then it won't. But if you have $129 after all the discounts and promotions come off, then the free shipping, you might have to select. It might give you two options, like one that costs money and one that's free. You have to select it. But yeah, you will get the free shipping. And if you're not seeing it, call Nina. She'll
help you out. Okay, Kathy over on YouTube says, do I need the Vanish Light thread along with the water soluble thread to do this project? So those are the same things. Water soluble thread is just a type of thread. Vanish Light is the brand of water soluble thread that we use, and you'll see on our website.
I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to scroll to make sure I got it all.
Well, we are using each other's computers, so we're all like, turned around, I think.
That was a silly decision.
Okay, some of these we've answered. So some I am just kind of reading through. Susanna on YouTube wants to know, if you have software, can you reduce the 7x7 design to 6x6? I wouldn't recommend it, Susanna. Can you? You probably can. I wouldn't recommend it. If you do that and you run into any issues, we would be unable to support the design because you've altered it. So.
And it will, like, you think sounds easy, but you kick one little thing off and it kicks other. And
and you're gonna have to
say no, don't do that.
Yeah, you'd have to edit your border blocks too that has applique in it, and your satin stitches are going to reduce, and it just might get a little messy with stitching those out. So that's why we wouldn't recommend that.
If you do want to do a Valentine's design and the 7-inch is too big for your machine, check out that Heartfelt half square, because it does include a 5-inch size, and it's a really pretty cute quick project, Valentine's Day theme. We released it last year. You would really like that one.
Let's see, I'll let you answer this one too.
Yeah, so Donna, I would say two things. Number one, if you're in, I see you're watching on YouTube, but if you're in our VIP Facebook group, it's posted in there in the files tab, or email Nina and she can reply and attach it. So you can have it. So which one of those is easier for you, get in touch with Nina or jump in our Facebook group and look at the files tab of the VIP Facebook group.
Okay, Barb, how long do USBs last? I mean, I think they last as long as you've got the technology for something to read them. I don't think there's like an expiration or anything on that. So as long as you've got technology to read it, you're good to go.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
What's that?
I'm going to take over. Ha. Tommy said
Tommy's trimmer is metal. That means you have the original. We've been in business for 17 years.
I read it as I got a new George, and I'm like, that's not George.
I need a new George. So you have one of the original Hoop Scissors trimmers.
It's an artifact.
Don't throw it away.
No, trimmer by George, not Hoop Scissors.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Woo-wee. Trimmer by George.
I'm rubbing off on you.
You have the original. George himself probably made that one, which is so cool.
That's true.
You have a piece of history. You might need a new one, but don't get rid of that one.
Okay, Pat on Facebook, can the project be washed when wool is used? Yes, absolutely. And in fact, when you wash it, that dimension is going to be even more, I don't know what word I should use right here, but your dimension is going to stand out even more when you wash it. So yes, you can.
So oh, I'm sorry, Peggy. You're under Tom's name. And I was like, whoa, oh, I called you the wrong name.
Oh.
My bad. Okay, I'm going to pop this one in too. So
Barbara, she was just asking, she was the one asking how long. This is totally up to you. Now, I will say this. I would use that USB as a transfer device, transfer method, not a storage. Does that make sense? So if you get the USB, I would pop it into my machine and I would put pop it into my computer and put all the files on my computer for safekeeping. And then I would just use that USB as a way to transfer to your machine and things like that. It's totally a personal preference. Some people like to just have it in their hand.
The exact same files are on both the digital and the USB too. So there's nothing different about them. It's just what you prefer to have.
Right. Some people get a little scared about the download and how do I get my stuff and things like that, which Nina can help you through too. The download is always going to be in your account. So if your computer fails and you have to get a new computer, all you have to do is get the new computer, log into your Hoop Sisters online account, and your files will be there. So, but it's really just a matter of preference. But I would not use my USB as a storage device, more as a transfer method, if that's helpful.
I think we did it.
We got them all?
I think so.
Okay. Awesome. All right. We've gone through at least 35 questions right there, I think, which is so great. We hope that that is helpful for you all. And we appreciate all of you sticking around a little bit longer today, but we wanted to make sure that we answered everything.
I'm not sure the answer to that.
Mary, I don't know. Yeah. We've never really had anyone say that our USBs don't work with their stuff. So,
but if that's something that you're concerned about, that your machine may not be able to read a specific USB, I would send you more toward the digital download route, because then you likely have a USB that you can use to transfer files from your computer to your machine.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to pop, I'm still using your computer because I don't know why. But I'm going to pop Nina's contact information up there. I feel like this was a great session. We were able to show you trimming, pinning, joining, backing. What was the other thing we showed them? Lining.
I don't remember.
I think that was it. I think that was it. So we went over a lot of stuff today. I will show you one thing real quick since you guys are hanging with us. I'm actually going to pull the website up because we added something really cool to the website today. And I'm going to share my screen. And it is in the tab, which will, if Nina, if you could drop the order link one more time, so you guys will be able to get directly to where I'm taking you, which is this new arrivals tab. So this is where everything, all the things and products and tools we talked about are in here. But at the bottom, if you scroll down, okay, we have day one replays on the left here. Why don't you tell them what you did right here, though?
Yeah, so this is a video that I recorded actually just this morning, stitching out the O block from Hugs and Kisses. So step-by-step tutorial for that. So you're getting step-by-step tutorial for half the blocks in this one, which is awesome. So go ahead and check that out if you have any questions on that block.
That's this video at the bottom right-hand side of the screen. So it's just an extra little tutorial so that you can see how that goes together. Okay. Okie dokie. I think we did it.
Yay.
Did we get that order link dropped one more time? She might be on the phone. I might see if I have it pasted. No, I'll paste it real quick one more time. Because I saw somebody ask, and I want to make sure that you have.
I see one more question. Janice on YouTube says, I purchased the USB for the design. Are the border designs going to be on that USB? So yeah, the straight edge border designs are on there. If your order qualified for kind of the curvy edge bonus border, then that would be a digital download from your account on our website.
Yep. Okay. Awesome. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope this was super helpful. Get your orders in. I can't wait to see where those fabric kit levels are at. I'm kind of holding my breath. So get over there, click around those promotions, the 10% off, the extra bonus, and the free shipping on orders over $129 do expire tonight at midnight. And get a hold of Nina if there's anything that we didn't answer that you would love to know. And we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.